Ladies and gentlemen, pride comes before a fall. I should have known that. I was far too overconfident in the last video, wasn't I? So yes, predictably, it has all fallen apart. As you can see, we've had now 1 win in 7. And the chances of us winning the title now, they're not completely gone, but it's looking unlikely, to be honest. I think the best we can hope for is that we can avoid those early rounds of those playoffs. It is, I think, going to be our best season so far in terms of points, but it's clearly not going to be the kind of season that at one point we really should have been looking for. And I am a little disappointed, to be honest, because I really think at one point it looked like we were going to run away with it, and we've not only not done that, we could end up just not getting promoted at all, and that really would be a bit of a disaster after the season we've had. It's really disappointing, to be honest. There's quite a few players who just haven't really shown up. Roller has not pushed on. And there are just not a this guy Mancini came in January and hasn't done it for me. Gioldi has fallen away a bit, although he can play today, I think. And yeah, it's just a bit disappointing, really, to see so many players who I know can be better than this, just not really producing the goods in the way that I know that they can do. So yeah, that's a real shame. As I say, it's not yet quite impossible that we could win the title, but it's going to take something special from here, and we're certainly going to have to win every game, I think. So let's see if we can start doing so against V1ASA. Obviously, they are a rival, probably not for the title, because I can't see us both going on a run good enough to challenge for it, but certainly for that place in the quarterfinals of the playoffs. So hopefully we can start putting things back on track with a win here. Latte crosses in. We will incidentally be coming back for the second game immediately after the youth intake, which means that by the time I come back, we may know a bit more. It might well be that it's over in terms of the title challenge. I think it's hard to see us not being in the playoffs. In fact, I think we are more or less guaranteed a playoff place. But the title race could easily be over by then, and I would say if we lose today, it probably is anyway. We will still keep an eye on Palermo, who are currently massive favourites to be the champions this year. Can we then perhaps think about joining them in Serie B together and have a Sicily double promotion? That would be nice. Pellegrini back to Vittorini. Nesta finds Pellegrini again, and Marson makes a good save. But that's the first decent shot we've had on target. That's the first shot we've had on target, full stop. Duca with the cross in and headed over the bar. And that takes us to a relatively dull first half end. Hopefully in the second half we can create a bit more, because as you can see, 2 shots, 0.11 XG, that's not really very impressive. Latte now, can we create something early in the second half? Latte does have a shot. It's not a great one, but it is a shot nonetheless, which at this stage of the game we should be thankful for. I'm going to have to bring on Roller for Nesta anyway. I was probably going to do that fairly soon. I'm just a little bit earlier because of Nesta's injury. I say Roller has not had a great, certainly the second half of the season. First half of the season was good. Second half has not been so good. Roller hopefully can start making up that. He did score recently, so we know he can do it. He's got the odd assist here and there as well. Gioldi comes to nothing. Be a bit more expressive. We want to demand a bit more from the team. See if we can start creating a little bit more in the second half. That was the first proper chance Fibonacci have had, and the striker has put it wide there. Marson kicks it long, and right back misses it. Perry, and that looks to me like it's going to be given as a penalty. It looks a bit harsh. I think it might have been a dive, but Rovaglia now steps up and puts us 1-0 ahead, 1-0 behind. Sorry, and it felt like it was a bit against the run of the play, although the XG doesn't suggest that. The highlights have been mostly us, at least in the second half. Roller with the cross finds the back post and we get the shot in, but still can't quite get the goal. And there's Roller to make it 1-1, and Roller gets his third goal for Zaffarana, second of this season. All of them coming at the back post. I think 2 of them now with his head, so clearly he can head the ball. I wonder how tall he is. I'm gonna check that actually. He's 177. Yeah, almost 180. That's pretty tall for a winger. So perhaps not all that surprising that he's scoring some goals with his head. Important goal on this occasion as well. Brings us back into the game. And if we can get a second one, yes, we can. Latte completes the comeback. If we can hold on to this, then I'm not showing necessarily that the title's back on, but it's certainly not off. 5 points behind, not completely impossible. Certainly a big win in terms of securing that second place and getting as late as we can. I mean, that quarter-final of the playoffs is something that I don't think we've got to yet. If we have, we got there once. I don't think we got to the quarter-final. We've always won one, unless that is the quarter-final. I don't think it is. So it would be new territory. It certainly is going to be the highest finish of the stage so far. Sorrentino's in and fortunately pegs us back again. I don't think that was offside. It wasn't. So we are going to have to go again and see if we can get a winner. Castelli and Mancini can come on. Double sub. Rabaglia. Volpe keeps us at 1-1. 2-2, sorry. We don't really deserve the win, to be honest. I think we've been a bit careless. We had about 25-minute period at the start of the second half where we were quite good, but apart from that, I don't think we really done enough to win this game. Castelli comes forward. It'd be lovely to win it anyway. Still got 6 minutes, so there is a goal possibly still in this game. I think it's just as much likely that they'll score than us. Sorrentino, shot from outside the box, goes over the top. Got 5 minutes left. Can we make something happen here? Doesn't look like it's going to be a draw, I think. It's not the end of the world, given who we're playing against, but it probably does write off any real chance we have of winning that title, I think, which is a bit of a shame. 7 points behind. It's not completely impossible, but I think it's probably unlikely. I'll be back in a second once we see the youth intake. I'll see you in a moment. Right, so I'm actually going back in time here because I wanted to see... So whenever I see my intake, I always forget what I was told first. So I've been told this season that I'm going to get an excellent intake, a terrific group of players with the potential to be a real goal generation, including 2 fine strikers and a top prospect in the centre of midfield and a promising centre-back. So I'm now going to quickly go forward in time and we'll see how it compares to what we've actually got. And I feel lied to. No side of my 2 strikers, who are meant to be fine prospects. We have got my central midfielder. I haven't looked at him yet, but we will see in a second. The strikers-wise, they're not there at all. Antinori looks like he can play up front, but not very well. Fino ditto. Not very well either. Yeah, and then Ciro Rossini as well, but not great either, although he looks a little bit better as an attacking mid. But yeah, that's a little disappointing. But we are going to look at our 2 top talents and have a look at what we can expect from them. So let's have a look at the defender first, because I wasn't told about this guy, Gennaro Colucci. Yeah, he's not great. And the mentals are not bad, but the technicals are so far down that there's just no way he's going to become a good player. Luan Malay, also bad. So we have got a pretty awful intake, to be honest. After being told we were going to get a golden generation, I know it happens in Football Manager, but it's just disappointing, and I don't really think there's anyone here who's going to be worth playing any kind of role really in the rest of the season. I'm also just going to quickly go through the results. We've had good win against Campobasso, but it's just been too many draws recently. Another set of 3 draws since the last game, and whilst we are second now, the chances of us overcoming Palermo are so small that I think I am now going to just skip to the playoffs in the next video. Bit disappointed, to be honest, and we're going to have to do better. But it's obviously disappointing when you get the hype of a golden generation and it's quite as bad as that. I wasn't expecting it to be kind of 6 players who are really, really, really good or anything like that. That wasn't what I was expecting, but I thought there might be 1 or 2 who'd be certainly ready to come into the team in the way that Roller was last year. And Roller, whilst he hasn't been as good as I would hope this season, he's clearly a decent footballer and he will be a good player for me, even if he isn't perhaps developing as quickly as I thought he might. So worth keeping an eye on still, but this intake, there's not going to be anyone of any note. I always do mark them just in case they pop up later on, and I kind of keep an eye on them. But there's not really much chance, I don't think, of any of these players being the kind of quality that Roller might be, and that we need certainly to compete not just in this division but in the one above, where we hope to be, possibly even next year, certainly the year after, because if we don't win the league this year, which is probably unlikely, then we certainly need to be targeting winning it next year, because I think I'd be pretty disappointed if we didn't do that now. Given the way that this season's gone, we should have won the league this year. There's a lot of doubt about that in my mind, and I think we have thrown it away a bit. But that's the way it goes sometimes in football, I suppose. So in the same way that our youth academy perhaps hasn't produced what it should do, we can also say our first 11 hasn't really done what it should have done. You look through these teams and this team, and Mancini's come in, should have been a very good footballer from what I can see of him, and he's got me 2 goals in 7 games or 7 starts. Roller has done a bit better recently. There's certainly promise there, and given that he's still only 16, I'm certainly not worried about him, but perhaps hasn't quite come up with the goods. Latelats, who came in with, in my view anyway, came in with serious promise, and he hasn't really delivered it. And Goots has had a good season, perhaps. Shelley's had a good season. Other than that, Nesta as well, of course, but because he's sharing so much time with Roller, that hasn't been as much of a factor as it might have been. And Pellegrini's done okay, but it's not the kind of striker that we need to really take us through to the next level. So we are going to have to do some work over the summer and really kind of put something together that will take us over the next step. I am, of course, assuming that I don't win the playoffs, which I'm not saying is not possible. I think it's almost impossible. We're going up now automatically, and it will be a shame to lose the football derby next year unless we can get promoted. But I think this year probably the best we can hope for is going up through the playoffs, and that's not going to be easy. So do subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and I'll be back tomorrow, hopefully with coverage of some progress in those playoffs and maybe a promotion at last.